Okay. Yesterday we have been discussing about various competencies, like underlying competencies. We have gone through it, and now we will discuss about the techniques. Okay. Now, technique means here, if you observe, technique has four parts. Okay, just let me recall that shape for you. Technique. If you see, a technique has a purpose, it has a description, elements, and usage considerations. Okay. And if you see these techniques, okay, so we got totally 50 techniques in BABOK. They proposed 50 techniques, and they said it is not the complete list, and they haven't given you any guidelines like where you are going to use it, kind of thing. It's a kind of thing wherever you feel comfortable using it, you can use it. That is what they have said about it. Okay. Now, technique will have a purpose. It has a description. Purpose and description can be like a in the same thing, and elements like what can be done in that, and the usage considerations. Fine. Now let us discuss about let us start discussions about these techniques. Okay, let us start with acceptance and evaluation criteria. Now, acceptance means if you have one solution, you just see your requirements are mapped onto this, and everything has been addressed, and you got the value out of it, then you will accept it. That is acceptance criteria. Evaluation criteria means you have multiple options and you have a set of requirements. You'll start mapping it, and you will choose one out of the evaluation criteria. Okay, you can see this here we have one solution, acceptance criteria. You have your cost, performance, usability, functionality. On this you will define the, with this we will go with the defining the requirements, and then you will test it. When it's okay, then you will accept it. Okay, then coming to the evaluation criteria, you'll have this criteria on these areas. We have multiple what we say options here. For each option you will see, and you will measure them, and then you will give a rating, like okay, first preference is the second preference is like that. We can come up with one rating. Okay. And then coming to the backlog management. Now generally in agile we use this backlog management. Backlog means pending user stories. Most of the times it is called pending user stories. And initially what to do, and we prioritize a backlog item to get it more prior, to get it done immediately, and slowly the other items can also pick up that what we say prioritization, and it can also get done. Okay, so here backlog management, if you can understand about this backlog management is just like a product backlog, or we can say it's a product backlog. You can have it in agile. We have this product backlog, and we have this sprint backlogs. So those backlogs is this. Here we will be having items in the backlogs. We prioritize them, we estimate them, and we make changes. That this backlog will be doing it. Okay. And balanced scorecard. Balanced scorecard means here, for you to have your business up and running, you should ensure that all the dimensions of your business are given that balancing. Okay, let me take this example. Right, first of all, you have to see that on the financial front it is balanced, and on the internal business process they have this balance, and your learning and growth is also being balanced, like you have that growth prospects, and your customers can also, your customers, whatever it may be, customer can also have the value out of your business. Likewise, you will see overall you will be having a, you see that you are going in a smooth way when you consider all these parameters. It's a balanced scorecard, and it is not limited to only these four. We can type, depending on the type of the business, we can prepare a balanced scorecard. Okay. And then benchmarking and market analysis. Benchmarking means it's like we will come up with the standards. Okay, benchmarking means we'll come up with the standards. So this is what the let me say benchmarking means it's a standard. We'll make it up till this extent. We have to actually, this is what minimum you have to do it, kind of thing. It will be there. And market analysis means you'll understand how the market is going on, and from there how we can take it forward, we will be seeing it. And benchmarking and market analysis is to increase the customer satisfaction and increase value to the customers. We will be doing this. Okay. And coming to the brainstorming here if you are stuck with a problem, we use experts opinions and experts ideas to come out of it. For that, we will be using brainstorming. For brainstorming, we have three elements like preparation, session, and wrap up. If you see this in the preparation part, initially you have to define the area of interest, what it is, determine the time limit, identify the participants, and you establish the evaluation criteria who can come in here. And in the session, these people will share their ideas, you will record them and build on each other ideas, and you will come up with as many ideas as you can. And in the wrap up, you discuss and evaluate, you create a list, you rate the ideas, and finally you distribute this list. So that is what we will do in the brainstorming. Okay, and then after that it is business capability analysis. Business capability analysis means here we need to understand that what is the capabilities a business has, and till what extent you are using these capabilities, what are the performance expectations, what is the risk model there, what is the strategic planning, what is the capability maps. We have to go through it in detail. Okay, now here for you to have that detailed analysis, okay, let me open that okay, capability analysis. Here you see business analysis. Okay, you see on the organization analysis, we can do capability analysis, root cause analysis, process analysis, stakeholder analysis, and roadmap construction. This is what we can do it. And in the project analysis, requirements elicitation, okay, and then requirements management, then requirements communication, then user acceptance testing, and usability testing. So this is what we are going to do in the project side. Okay, on the professional development side, we have to see organization analysis consulting, project analysis consulting, training, mentoring, okay, templates and resource maintenance, that we'll see in the professional development. And in the management, we'll see the performance management, resource allocations, employee development planning. These we will be taking care of it, right? If you see the business capability analysis, right, you got me. For the organization, for an organization, first of all you have to see the capability analysis, then you have to see the root cause analysis, then you have to go with the process analysis, then stakeholder analysis, then route map construction. Okay, this is what we are going to say it. Okay, fine. So these are the areas which we have to see in business capability analysis. We have to look into all these areas. Okay, we have to look into all these areas. Fine, got it. So when you are working in that business, okay, when you say business capability means we have to see the organization capability, and then we have to see the project analysis, then we have to see the professional development, and then we have to see the management. Okay, next, after this we have this business case. Business case provides justification for the course of action. Now it is based on the benefits to be realized by using a proposed solution as compared to the cost, effort, and other considerations to acquire and live with that solution. So here business case is something like you have to understand like a business case, they prepare it, and while looking into the business case, you will be encouraged to actually you'll see the benefits list and you'll feel like, okay, fine, it is good to go ahead on this particular initiative. So using a business case only, the management will decide whether we can take up this particular project or not, whether we can take up this particular initiative or not. It is all based on the business case. Fine. And then it is a business model canvas. Business model canvas means it is another kind of another representation of the business working functionalities. Like you can see here, like your business, how you're going to work out. First of all, what is the cost structure, what is the revenue streams, and here we have to see the like we have to understand the customer segments, we have to understand the customer relationship, we have to understand the channels, we have to understand the value proposition, key activities, key resources, and key partnerships. This we have to understand. Then it is a business model canvas. Suppose if you want to set up any business, you have to look into these areas. We have to look into these areas like what is the cost structure, and what is the revenue streams, and what is the customer segments, what are the customer segments, customer relationships, channels, value proposition, key activities, key resources, key partnerships. This we have to focus on that. Okay, and then the business rules analysis. Okay, here business rules analysis is used to identify, express, validate, and refine and organize the rules that shape our day-to-day business behavior and guide operational business making decisions. Here we have to see into two elements. One is the definitional rules and the second one is behavioral rules. We have to see both these things. Okay. And then we have the collaborative games. Now collaborative games may it is something before you actually elicit any requirement, we have to prepare the participant to give you the requirements. For that we can conduct collaborative games. How we can do it? For collaborative games, we have few collaborative games. We will discuss about that. Okay, collaborative games are like a, here we can go with like product box. Now product box means here the participants they construct a box for the product as if it is being sold in a retail store. That means you will design it in such a way how you can sell it. By this what actually happens is that you'll be, it will be used to identify the features of that particular product, and it will help you to drive interest in the marketplace. What are the important points for you to actually sell it, you will realize when you do this product box. And affinity maps. Affinity maps means here you will be understanding the various features of it, and other products of similar products of what features they have. Here you will try to understand it. Okay. And the fishbowl means here they will be, we'll divide them into all the participants into groups, into two groups. One group will be explaining about that particular topic, other group will listen to it and start writing it. Here what are the various assumptions we have, and what constraints we have. Here what are the perspectives we have, we'll understand through fishbowl. So these are some of the collaborative games which we can actually do before we get into the mainstream of eliciting the requirements or having discussions with the stakeholders. Fine. And okay, just a minute, I think we are done with this. The next one is after collaborative we have this concept modeling. Okay, now concept modeling means here we are going to get that business vocabulary, because we are going to communicate the knowledge of the domain. For that we need that business vocabulary, and to get that business vocabulary we have to understand the noun concepts, we have to understand the verb concepts, and we have to get the other connections, the relationship between the verb concepts and the noun concepts. If you can establish, then you will get the concepts in a clear cut way. You'll use the right vocabulary there, right? And then we will go with the data dictionary. Data dictionary means here we'll be having like a, we will give the meaning or the definition of the data which is used in the in the flow. And here what is the meaning of each data item we are going to explain it, data dictionary. So data dictionary will definitely help us to minimize ambiguity. Data dictionary will definitely help us to minimize the ambiguity. So this we have to go through it. First of all, we start defining the data here. And data flow diagrams, we saw that how the data flows from one point to another point, that is given in the data flow diagrams. These are the sample data flow diagrams which you can see from okay, so how it is going to come up, what exactly, how the external end users are going to use it, that we will be considering that. And internally we can also break down into multiple flows. Okay, these are the sample data flow diagrams which you can see here. And then we have the data mining. Now data mining is used to improve decision making by finding useful patterns and insights from the data. Generally you find in retail stores, you find some offers. Those offers at the outset you will not find any link. They say that buy for 1,000 rupees and get sugar for 10 rupees, like that they say. Or you buy let me say 2 kgs wheat and you will get a Pinail bottle free. Like that they will give some offers which you don't understand why they have come up with such an offer. But they come up with such decisions because of such offers, because they have seen the previous pattern. They would have observed that the people who have bought 2 kgs atta, they would have bought Pinail. More frequency is there, so that's why they would have come up with that. Okay, so here we have to go with some the requirements illustration and then data preparation, like what set we have to get it and do the analysis part of it, and we have to go with the techniques, and finally we have to get that information from it. Okay, And the data modeling, here you'll find like how we are going to, how the process is going to have, and what are the entities we have, what are the classes we have. We will go through those by entity wise, what will be the data here. And let me say, if you take any process entity wise, how it is being carried from one point to another point, how it flows from one point to another point, and class wise how it goes, entity wise how it goes, it is given through the data modeling. Okay. And then we have this decision analysis. Decision analysis means generally we take decisions based on some information. Okay. And that information will be having okay, that information will be having like a let me just show you maps, like types of models and notations, decision trees, decision tables, and decision requirements diagrams are there. Let me show you that. Decision analysis. Now this is the decision matrix. Using a simple decision matrix, we will be taking care of it. It is like I can tell you, just before you buy a car, what we do, we will just compare it like that. This comparison is the decision matrix. Okay. Now for each parameter, they give some weightage. So here weighted decision matrix. Then we have the decision trees, and decision trees we have this like decision nodes, chances nodes, and the end nodes like we'll be having. If this is this, then we'll go to that, like that we will be taking care of it. Okay, right. And then we have this decision modeling. Okay, in decision modeling, here we see the decision table come into picture, and then the decision trees. Okay, decision trees would be in this way. Okay, so and then we have this now decision tree is something like a, now I can tell you this is for a loan, for a loan amount of so and so, the eligibility, what is the age and what is the eligibility, like that they will be rating it. Or you can simply tell more than like a 35 is pass, 35 to 50 is third class, 50 to 60 is second class, 60 above first class. That is you can model using a decision tree. Okay, likewise we can even take decision requirements diagrams, like which contains decisions, input data, business knowledge models, and knowledge sources. Using that as well we can take it forward. Okay, and then we have this document analysis. Document analysis means here we will okay, we will use this document analysis to elicit business analysis information, including contextual understanding and requirements, by eliminating available by we will be going through this available materials, and describes the business environment or existing organization sets. Generally what we do is that we will go through the process documents, understand about it, and we will go through the current requirements and map these requirements onto the process documents and understand where it actually fits in. And we will actually do that review part of it. Review and analysis is done in this way, and your outcome and how you're going to proceed, that is the findings which you're going to make it up, and further using that we'll be taking it forward, right? And then estimations we have to do for a particular initiative, for a particular project, or for a particular process what you want to do it. For that estimations we have various methods. What are the different methods we can use for estimation, and each method, what is the accuracy of that estimate and the sources of information for us to make this estimation, and the reliability of this particular estimates, where we can, and who will be the contributing towards this estimates. We need to understand it, and based on it we have to go for the estimations. Okay, estimations, we have the financial estimations and we have the work effort estimations. Both we will be doing it. Next, financial analysis. Financial analysis means for us to actually take up any initiative, we need to understand what is the investment, what is the solution, what is the solution approach. For that we need to understand the cost of the change, total cost of ownership, and value realization, cost benefit analysis, and financial calculations. We have to make it up. Now generally financial analysis, most of the times a BA will not do it. It is better to have an idea about it. Okay, so but here cost of the changes, how much it is making what is the cost of making a particular change, we will be understanding. Total cost of ownership means It is like if we own the entire thing end to end, the infrastructure changes, the resource cost, adaptability, and deployment cost, all this will come under total cost of ownership, right? And then we have this okay. Then we have this focus groups. Now focus groups, these people, they're very much aware of your product or service or this opportunity, and they'll be giving you ideas and opinions how to improve on the particular process or the project, like that. And it will be a group environment, and everybody will be giving their ideas of how to make it up. And it will be like a, one expert will be there giving some suggestions, and these people will be guided by that moderator, and we will be like taking the requirements in the right way. They will be sharing the ideas in the right way. And here, if you see this focus groups, may we will have this okay, like what is the objective of conducting this for particular focus group meeting, and what is the plan for it, who are the participants, what is the discussion guide, and we have to assign one moderator and one recorder, and we have to conduct that focus groups, and after the discussion we have to come up with the conclusions as well, that we will be making it here. And then we have this functional decomposition. Functional decomposition means any functionality you have to decompose into small parts of it. So we have to understand why we are decomposing it, decomposing objectives we have to understand. Then on what basis you are doing this decomposition, till what extent you are going to, what level you are going to do this decomposition, and how will you represent this decomposition results, we should be understanding it. And for example, we have one function that is divided into two sub functions, and each sub function has multiple process in it, and each process will have multiple activities, like that. We can use this approach, or we may use an appropriate approach defined there, right? And coming to the glossary part of it, glossary means here we are defining the key terms relevant to that particular process or project or the business domain. Okay, and here what we are going to use most frequently here, and what are the definitions of those terms, and so that everyone will have the same level of understanding on it. That is how will be making up this glossary. Okay, the generic terms used and their meanings, and frequently used terms, we will be writing a glossary about it. And coming to the interface analysis, now interface analysis means here like any application you take, it will have multiple interfaces. The first interface can be with the user, another interface would be third party, another interface would be the database. Through each interface, what data is going to be exchanged, what data is need to be handled in these interfaces, we need to understand. For that, we can go with 5W1H, like where, what, why, when, how, and for whom, like that. We have to understand it, and then we can understand what information can be going across these interfaces. Okay, so this is very important for us to take it forward, right? Interface analysis, if you do it, your application, it is like a use case, it is in line with the use case diagrams. Interface analysis will be like a in line with use case diagrams, right? And then we have these interviews. Now interview means when we are getting information from the stakeholders, there will be some conflict within that information, so we have to resolve that conflict. For resolving the conflict, we will conduct an interview with the responsible stakeholders, and we'll take an appointment with them, and then we will ask them questions, and they give us an answers. So we'll follow one logistic flow, and then after the interview, we'll do a follow-up of how it is going to make it up, and then we will finalize on the where the conflict is, and we remove that conflicts, and we confirm on the requirements. And interviews can be done in multiple formats, like one-to-one, one-to-many, many-to-one, and a panel, like that. We will be having those types of interviews, we can conduct them. And coming to the item tracking, now item tracking is like this is what item is an element of like we can say it's a task. Item is like a task, and we are going to track those tasks, like Okay, initially who is responsible for it, who is going to take care of it, where is the position of it, what is the situation, everything would be, we will be having an item tracking. It is just like RTM, requirements traceability matrix. There as well we will track the requirements. Here we are tracking the items. Okay, fine, got it. And then lessons learned document. Lessons learned document, once we have completed any process, we completed working on any process or project, what are challenges you have faced, why we have changed the, why we have faced with those challenges, and how to avoid those challenges, what precautions we have to take to avoid those challenges. All this we can write it in lessons learned document. You can see the business analysis activities are deliverables, the final solution, service or product. Okay, automation or technology that has been introduced or eliminated, impact of the organization process, performance, expectations and results, positive and negative variance, and root cause impacting the performance results, recommendations are for behavioral approaches. These elements we can have in lessons learned. Okay, and then we have this metrics and key performance indicators. Now for us to perform anything, first of all you have to measure the, we have to establish unit of measures, and also for that measures we will come up with indicators as well, key performance indicators, so that if you use this metrics and key performance indicators, you can manage that particular concept in a very dedicated way, in a very structured way we can do it off. Okay, got it. So we have to take it in that way. And then the mind mapping. Now mind mapping is used to articulate and capture thoughts, ideas and information, and that tries to solve a particular problem or establish a unique approach. We can do it through mind mapping. Okay, mind mapping may we give the topic, what is the topic which we, where the challenge is, and the related topics will be understanding it, and the keywords, and sometimes we can use a color combinations of it, and then the images, and then we can come up with how it can go. Actually 5W1H we can use it here, like who can do it, how they can do it, who, like when they can do it, where they will be doing it, like that we will be discussing, and we come up with finally how to do it. We'll come up with a clear consensus about it. Okay, and if you can see a mind mapping, it can be done in this way. You can see it like topic 1, topic 2, topic 3, topic 4, and in that subtopics, and we will start mapping them. Okay, possibly we can take a board and we can write our concepts there, or we can use pieces of papers and we can write it and stick it onto the board, or we can make it on a table, like that we can make it up. And then we can find a link between each topics, subtopic, a topic, and we can have that links there and we can take it forward. Okay, and then we have the non-functional requirements analysis. Non-functional requirements analysis is like a, we have been discussing about functionality means all the functionality, first this happens, next this happens, like that will be there. Non-functional means it is like the hardware part of it, and let me say the performance issues like a turnaround time, availability, reliability, and it's like we can go ahead with like integration of the external peripherals with the system, the hardware interfaces, challenges of the current hardware, challenges of the current networking, challenges of the protocols that are used in interacting with within the data, with the data. Likewise, all this comes under non-functional requirements. Okay, so we have to understand about non-functional requirements, because most of the times functionality can be achieved when the non-functional requirements are proper, and generally the non-functional requirements support functional requirements. The non-functional requirements support functional requirements. Fine, and then we will go with observations. Now, observation means here we are going to elicit the information by viewing and understanding the activities and their context. Okay, so here we are having two types of observations, like passive observation and active observation. In passive observations, we do not disturb the other person. We quietly observe it and note down our notes, and later on we can ask them the questions. And active observation means while we are observing something, if you have any doubt or query, you'll start asking them to straightforward, right? And observations are good for initially to have a basic idea about that particular process and to clarify on some few areas of doubts, or here in such context we can use observations. Okay. And observations may, it is like you will see like what are the challenges they're facing in the current process, how we can overcome it, how we can address it. All this we will be discussing in the observation part. Okay. And then in observations, the basic funda is you will observe the underlying business process, and then what are the standards they're following, and what is the evaluation performance, the solution performance, and what is the need of training once it is done, and what is the development we can do it. All this will be considered in the observations. You can actually understand it from that perspective. Okay. And then organizational modeling. Now how this organization actually works out, and what is the hierarchy of it. Is it like a flat structure, or we have this hierarchy, and in that hierarchy who got the decision making powers. And like if it is like even though you have a flat hierarchy, even though you have a flat structure, still few people will influence it, and how they are influencing it. So we need to understand what are there in the market, what types of organization models are there in that, what is that we are using here, and what are the changes from the standard model. Here we are going to understand it. Okay. And then if you can have that organization standards, then the modeling, if you know the model of the organization, okay, then you can, based on it, we can actually interact with them, because this is the base for us to go with RSA matrix. We will prepare RSA, responsible, accountable, supportable, and like informed group. All this we will make through organization modeling only. We take the base. And coming to the prioritization. Now prioritization, it is what we are going to do, like we have these requirements, so we give prioritization to it. For prioritization we will be using either grouping, or we will be like RSA, I can take this Moscow, that is a grouping technique. Ranking, the 1 2 3 4, right, that is a ranking. Time boxing, budgeting, negotiations, like that we will have multiple areas of prioritization. And mostly the prioritization techniques would be like a grouping technique, that is Moscow, or we can go with ranking technique, we have one after the other that ranks would be given. So anyway we can go ahead and that. So in what is the way in which we go for the prioritization, here we can actually understand it. Okay. And then we have the process modeling. We have to understand the existing process analysis. For that you can take your BPM, business process model, understand the business process, and then you can identify the gaps and areas of improvement, then identify the root cause analysis, and then identify the root cause of it, and then you can come up with the multiple options which you can by which you can address it. And finally what will be the result of it, you can make it happen. Okay. Process analysis you'll be understanding in this particular way. Okay. They gave you like the entire process, you have to analyze it, and then you have to understand like where you can improve on it, you can come up with that. Okay. And the process modeling, we have been discussing. First of all, you need to understand the process model, then only you can do the process analysis. Okay. And the process we can go with like flow charts, or we can go with activity diagrams, and we can use different notations here. And the process modeling, we can go with swim lane route, and sometimes directly with respect to the stakeholders, we can have this what functionalities they can be achieved through this particular process. It is modeled here. Okay. And then coming to the prototyping, here prototyping is something like whatever the client shares as requirements, we will try to show them the working models of the samples of the working models, we will be showing them to the client. And here we need to understand what is the approach in the prototyping we are going to use, and what are the various examples we can conduct, and what are the methods we are going to use. We have to see it. And prototyping, generally it will be the like flow charts, process flow diagrams, and activity diagrams, or use case diagrams can be there. In few cases we can even go with the, let me say it is an inquiry form. In such cases we can go with the prototype of the screens and pages as well. So that can be considered here in the prototyping. Okay. And then we have this okay, reviews. Now reviews, because if something has done, some work has been accomplished by the stakeholders or some process has been done. Then we will have a review of how it has been done, what is their experience and what techniques has been used, who are the participants, what is their level of experience on this, and based on it we will take the reviews. Based these reviews gives a clear cut picture of the outcome of this, what is the experience of this particular process. So what is the experience of the stakeholders involved in that particular process, the concerning this particular initiative, we will be understanding it. Okay. And then we have this risk analysis and management. Here in the risk analysis and management, if you see here, now we have a risk identification. We have to do risk analysis, we have to evaluate the risk, and then we have to come up with the treatment, how we are going to manage it. And risk may, like in which areas it can go wrong, we have to identify it. And for that we will be having a risk register. We will be maintaining one risk register on what actions, on what areas a risk can happen. If it happens, what is the possibility of happening it, and what will be the impact of happening it, and who is going to handle it, and how we are going to make it forward. That is all given in the risk analysis, and management will be doing it. Okay. And then we have the roles and permission matrix. Here we have to understand, in any organization, okay, we will be, the designations would be there and the roles will be different. Now based on the role, we will be giving the permissions for our for the process, or we'll giving permissions for the IT application that is being developed. So first of all, we need to identify the roles, what activities they do it, and what authority they have, and what permissions we have to give them. First of all, we have to gather that information, and this will be very, very useful for them when you get into things, right? And then we have this root cause analysis. If any problem has come, what we have to do is that we have to do a root cause analysis. Here, for doing root cause analysis, we have various techniques like a fishbone diagram and the 5 eye technique. 5 eye technique means if some problem has happened, we will ask why that has happened, and then they will come up with an answer. Then you'll ask why that has happened, they come up with another answer. Likewise, you'll keep on asking five number of times why that has happened, and they come up with an answer. Finally, you can reach the root of that particular problem. This is what 5W will say. But there is a catch here, like people who are doing this 5W, if they are not aware of the process or not aware of the particular project, then you may not reach the root of the particular problem. And there is one more approach known as fishbone diagram or the Ishikawa diagram. Now fishbone diagram, Ishikawa diagram, what it says is that any problem that arises, that happens because of this 5 factors like people, process, machine, material, and environment. Start probing into these areas, and finally you will come to know about what is the actual reason there. So we can use a fishbone diagram for that particular purpose. Okay, for the fishbone diagram, for this root cause analysis, we can use it off. Fine, got it. And then after that, then we'll go with the like scope modeling. When you are defining the scope, we have to define what is in scope, and you have to define what is out of scope. And when you are going with this, the first thing is that objectives, you have to understand why we are defining the scope, what is the object of defining the scope. And here we have to understand the change scope, we have to model it, and the context in which we have to make this particular change, and the level of detail we have to write, we should be clearly understanding it, and the relationship about this particular scope and the requirements which are going to model it, and the assumptions which we made it, and how it will look like the result. We need to understand it. That is the scope modeling. That means scope modeling may, what we are trying to do, what we are not handling here, we will write it in a clear cut way in the scope modeling. Okay. And then we have this sequence diagram. Now sequence diagram, you understand that how a functionality can be achieved through the objects and classes, that is understood in a sequence diagram. Like where an order is made, what object number 1 is doing, what object number 2 is doing, what object number 3 is doing, like each element, how they are involved it in here, and what will be the through the software, how we are going to achieve the functionality that is given through sequence diagrams. And generally sequence diagrams are done by the software programmers and developers. They draw the sequence diagram, and as a business analyst will go through it and try to understand about it. Okay. And then we have this stakeholders list, map, and personas. That means who are the stakeholders involved here, what will be their level of their authority and power, and are they decision makers, do they make an impact, are they influencers. That is all we understand here through stakeholders list, map, and personas. And here we can go with RSA matrix like responsible, accountable, consulted, and informed, or we can go with personas, understanding about the how this particular customer or this particular stakeholder has his personality, how it is related to the project management, how it is related to the business analysis, what is his thought process on them. We will be understanding through stakeholder map, personas, list, map, map, and personas. And state modeling, here it is a state modeling is a dynamic diagram from one state to another state, how this project moves up and what are the conditions, constraints, and context available for us to move from one state to another state. Here we are going to understand it. Okay, now here we in that we have to define various states and the state transitions, how the transition will happen, and what diagrams we are going to draw, the state diagrams, and what are the state tables. So we have it so many areas like okay. Now initially I can give you a simple example about the state modeling. Initially, let me take a bus stop. Bus stop state is there is no bus. Now the bus came, the bus stop state is like there is a bus there. Like it is a simple thing. Bus in a bus stop, bus is there, one state, bus is not there, another state, like two states are there. Now how this is toggling from one state to another state is that a bus has come inside it, then the state would change. The bus has left, then the change would state, then the state would change. Here we are going to analyze it from that perspective. Fine, got it, clear on this. And then we have this questionnaire or survey forms. Okay, now questionnaire or survey forms is like if you want to interact with a large group of stakeholders and want to understand their understanding about a particular concept or an initiative, for that generally we use a questionnaire as survey form. Okay, and here what we're trying to do is that questionnaire or survey form, it's just like a feedback form. We have multiple questions, and each questions will have a and each question will have multiple choice answers, and most of the times these multiple choice answers would be like ratings, like poor, fair, good, excellent, or sometimes you may have a predefined values there. And these would be distributed with the concerning stakeholders, and once they fill in the data, once they select their feedback, or once they select this information, then we can use a statistical procedure, and by using mean, median, mode, or deviation, standard deviation, skewness, we will definitely come up with what this particular set of stakeholders are thinking about this particular initiative. We'll come to know. For that, what we do is that we prepare for what we need to take a survey, then we distribute the survey or the questionnaires, then we document the results. This is what we are trying to do here, right? And then we have this SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis, you know that it stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And we have to understand what are the strengths involved. Now, SWOT analysis, you can do it for an organization, or you can do it for a team, or you can do it for yourself, or you can do it for buying a new gadget like that, or buying a new machinery. For that, you can do SWOT. Now, let us try to understand a SWOT for an organization. Okay, strengths would be the infrastructure of the company, investors of the company, then would be like the employees of the company, their skill set, their loyalty towards the company. All this comes under the strengths. Okay, now weaknesses is not having enough strengths is a weakness. Now opportunities is getting into new projects, getting into new verticals, strengthening the customer base. All this will be the opportunities. Losing our opportunities to our competitors will be threats. Losing our opportunities to our competitors will be threats. Okay, fine. And here, if you see here, strengths and weaknesses would be internal to the organization, opportunities and threats would be external to the organization. Okay, strengths and weaknesses would be internal to the organization, and opportunities and threats would be external to the organization. Fine, got it, clear on this? Okay, and you can do SWOT on literally anything. Like you can do SWOT on a new initiative which you want to take up, or a new team which you want to actually propose, or you can do SWOT on yourself as well. Then you have to identify and realize your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Okay, so in that way we can do this SWOT. And after SWOT we have this use cases and scenarios, like use case description document. Like we all know about use case diagrams. Like initially it is a context diagram in DFD. Here we can draw it as a use case diagram. It models how the external end users interact with the system and what functionalities they're expecting out of the system that is being modeled here. So here a use case diagram is a pictorial representation. Okay, a use case diagram is a pictorial representation, and use case description document, okay, use case diagram is like this, and the use case description document would be like it contains the use case name, use case description, then we have the primary actors, secondary actors, and then we have the preconditions, post conditions, then we have the basic flow, alternate flows, exceptional flows, and then we will be discussing about assumptions, constraints, dependencies, business rules, miscellaneous information, okay, and inputs, outputs, everything for each use case we are going to discuss about it. So use case diagram is an important aspect of understanding the functional requirement. So most of the times we draw use case diagrams. As a business analyst, we are going to draw these use case diagrams. Okay, and coming to the user stories, like we all know user story format, like it is generally we use user stories in agile, and then it starts with the user story will be like it is a small concept statement of functionality or quality needed to deliver value to the specific stakeholder. As a user, I want so and so functionality so that so and so feature can be achieved. Like that, we will be writing it. And you will have the elements. If you see, the title would be there, and the statement of value will be there, and the conversation will be there. And backside of that user story, generally you write user stories on a post-it note. Generally you write user stories on a post-it note. Okay, generally you write a user story on a post-it note, and backside of the user story you will be writing the acceptance criteria. Backside of the user story you will be writing the acceptance criteria. And generally we write user stories using capital letters, and acceptance criteria, most of the times it follows use case spec guidelines. That means all the basic flow, alternate flows, exceptional flows, all these flows will be covered there. All these flows will be covered there. And generally these user stories, we put it on a board. We call that as a like storyboard. From the storyboard, the developers will be pick up a user story and they start working on that user story. And a user story is a small consensus statement of functionality or quality needed to deliver value to the specific stakeholder. Now here, if you see, it will take like for 2 weeks is the max, like a time given for any developer to develop a user story, and it can once again stretch till 2 months as well. Maximum 2 months will be given. And mostly while writing the user stories, both the stakeholders and the development team, they come to one understanding that they have to write a user story in such a way that one developer can develop it within let me say like within 2 weeks time. They can't write complex user story and then say do it. So complex user stories, we call them as epics. Complex user stories, we call them as epics. And generally we divide epics into user stories. Generally we divide epics into user stories. Okay, so here user stories is a simple, small, and small functionality which is actually the stakeholder requires, and it is written from the stakeholder perspective. User story is written. Okay, and then we have the vendor assessment. Now vendor assessment, we have one form, like this vendor is for which area it is, and what is the knowledge and expertise of the particular end vendor, and what is the licensing and pricing models, and what is how the vendor is positioned in the market, and what are the terms and conditions, and what is the vendor experience, and what is the reputation and the stability. All these parameters we will be seeing, and we will be considering that particular vendor. Vendor assessment means, here let me say, for you to take a particular solution, there are 4 or 5 vendors who can give you that service. So you, first of all, the vendor should be registered with you, and you'll come up with some guidelines like how these people have to be taking up it and what services you're expecting from them. Then you'll discuss with them and see what is that, what is the previous success stories of these particular vendors, and then based on it you will take a call. Okay, so vendor assessment means these parameters can be assessed here, right? And then we have this okay, workshops. It's like um, they bring the stakeholders together in order to collaborate on achieving a predefined goal. Now I'll tell you, workshops are more practical in nature and they aim at completeness. Okay, so generally what happens, let me give you one scenario. Suppose we got a requirement, we got the requirements from the stakeholders, and the client has got some, let me say 10 departments. And when you are assessing and analyzing the requirements, you're not clear where each requirement is being used and which department is going to use those requirements. You're not clear about it. In such a case, you can request for a workshop with them, and in the workshop they'll send one or two representatives from each department, and this representative will come prepared with what inputs they're going to take concerning this particular process and what outputs they're going to generate as well. And they come up with the prototypes and they start explaining you how they're going to work from input to output, what process they follow as well. They'll explain it. Now each department will be explaining what inputs they're going to take, what outputs they're going to generate, and how they're going to do their work. They'll explain. By the end of one cycle, okay, the participants of this workshop will realize that before the workshop they do not know anything. Before the workshop they do not know the other team members, but after the workshop they'll be knowing the other participants as well. And before the workshop they know only their department work, but after the workshop they'll be knowing not only their department work but the entire big picture as a whole. You'll be understanding it, and where your work fits into that particular work as well, you'll be understanding it. And the beauty of workshop is any process is receiving a faulty input, you can trace to the source of that particular error and talk to the concerning resource or the department, ensure that you will get the right inputs. Fine. And then when you see for the workshop, when you want to understand the elements of the workshop, initially we prepare for the workshop, and we'll understand what is the workshop role here and what exactly you want to take the deliverables out of this workshop. And then you sometimes in workshops we will conduct role plays. In workshops we will be conducting role plays. Role play means they'll be enacting, one guy will be enacting like a customer, another guy will be enacting like a like the service guy, and then they will actually simulate it how it actually happens in the live may. They can also simulate that. So likewise we will be doing it, and then we conduct the workshop, and after the workshop we will have the post workshop wrap up. That means we will go through each and every point, understand about it, and write it in the right way, jot it down, and then we give it back to the concerning stakeholder who requested this. So in this way we can do these workshops, and workshops generally span days. Like you will find like 5 weeks workshops, 10 weeks, no, 5 days workshops, 10 days workshops, 2 weeks workshops, and like 1 month workshop. Like that you'll find workshops to be spanning days. Like that you'll be finding it. And generally workshops are more practical in nature, and they aim at completeness, Fine, got it. So here we have covered all the techniques. Okay, we have covered all the techniques of it, and I want you to go through each and every technique and understand where we can use this technique and prepare your own notes about it. Then only you'll get a clarity about these things. Fine, got it, clear on this. So here what we have to do is that the next topic would be the perspectives. The next topic will be the perspectives. Once this perspectives is done, once again we have to actually revisit the case study right from the beginning, and from there we have to discuss in detail about all these knowledge areas. If you can discuss involving these techniques, then you'll understand how we are going to make it up. Fine, got it, clear on this. And any questions from your end, you can ask me now. Any questions?
No question.
Okay,
no
fine.
questions then.
No, not now.
Okay, please go through the once again, you revisit the case study and just try to see where we can actually involve these techniques there. Fine, and from there we can take it forward. Got it? Okay then, take care. Bye bye.